Yes.
How do you feel about that book, by the way?
Well, the story started here by us at home. So the first time Samani came to our house, he didn't know me, but he got acquainted with me. He saw what I have here about books of Rizal. Um, we talked about Rizal. We made a tour about the Rizal tour. And I give them, if you all the pictures are my pictures. And I talked to Samani and I told him what I have accomplished here in Germany and in Europe, mostly in Germany, because I stayed 5 years in Heidelberg, which gave me the opportunity to do the Rhine trip. I did it 9 times, the Rhine trip, same as Rizal did. And in Germany, I visited every single place Rizal mentioned in his diaries. I've been there. For the rest of Europe, I have been in every country. I visited almost every place where Rizal has been. So Samani was aware of that, and that was his aim. Okay, help me a little bit. We write the book about Rizal and give me your pictures.
Now, in the movement, the propaganda movement that Rizal was part of while in Europe, there was an election that happened between Del Pilar,
Yes.
Marcelo H. Del Pilar,
Yep.
and Jose Rizal. Jose Rizal won, but he knew that the Plaridels, the Del Pilars, will
Yeah.
not be happy and will have a grudge. So he stepped back and let Del Pilar take
Yes.
the presidency. How
Yes.
do you equate this with what's happening with say, the Knights of Rizal, if you don't mind?
Yeah. Well, I know the story in Madrid. That was end of the 1890s. So at that time, Rizal was in a bad shape. Remember, Rizal was in Belgium in early 1890s. He received a letter from his brother Paciano that he should go to Madrid in order to do something about the Hacienda case, the Calamba Hacienda case. So he got a letter with the power of attorney. So he went uh, to Madrid. First of all, he didn't succeed to do something for Calamba. Second, at that time, Rizal received a letter from Leonor Rivera in which she informed him that she was going to marry an English man. So Rizal got depressed. At that time, Rizal was always the numero uno of the Filipinos here in Europe. But Marcelo H. del Pilar, he wanted to have the power. He was involved in La Solidaridad. And as you said, there was an election. And the first election, Rizal won, but he had a 2/3 majority, which he didn't have. So there was a second election. He didn't have the 2/3 majority. But the third election, he had more than 2/3. And then Rizal made a decision, typical Rizal. He said, I do not want to be the person to divide the Philippines here in Europe. So as you said, Rizal did not accept the election and he went to Biarritz. So he went to France, to Biarritz, where he met, of course, you know the story about Nelly Bostedt. And that Nelly Bostedt is one of those cases that Rizal could have had a good life with her, but he didn't do it. He was thinking about his country.
Now, Sir Lucian, you've been part of the Knights of Rizal for at least 20 years. Um, Is there any memorable experience that you'd like to share with us throughout those 20 years on the international arena? I'm talking about international assemblies or anything outside your local chapter.
Yes. So I attended a lot of meetings in local chapters and meetings in Europe assemblies. I also attended the international assemblies. But the most important thing for me in the Knights of Rizal is not the assemblies. Of course, the assemblies are interesting. You learn to know a lot of other people, Knights of Rizal. You talk about the Knights of Rizal. I was able to get in contact with respectable supreme commanders, very important persons, knowledgeable persons in the Knights of Rizal. But I think the one thing who impressed me the most was the Riley, which is kept in Baguio. So the Riley is the conference for the youth, Rizalian Youth Conference. There you have some 600 to 800 people every year who came from different schools, universities, who has been assigned by their university as the most knowledgeable students about Rizal. And there they gathered together, and that's for 3 days, and they talk about Rizal. There you can see how young people in the Philippines are still inspired by the person of Rizal. And I think this is the most enduring experience I have about the meetings about Rizal.
So you think Knights of Rizal got that part right? The Riley.
Yeah, it's the Rizal Youth Leadership Institute, and the students are going there for free. So they stay there for 3 days. They stayed at a hotel. They had their food, and the program is early morning till late evening. They had sessions, special paintings about Rizal, talking about Rizal, poems about Rizal, and then talking among each other about Rizal, which is quite interesting. I was impressed. I've been there. I was impressed. I was able to give a Rizal lecture there. It was one of my favorites to be there. I'm still happy that I was able to do this.
Now, sir, in the Knights of Rizal, there's a lot of outstanding knights.
Yes.
You personally, sir, which knight do you look up to?
Well, it was the person who knighted me. So I told you in 1993, I was assigned to work in Heidelberg. And I came in contact with the mayor of Wilhelmsveld, who was a Knight of Rizal. And before that, I came in contact with a Knight of Rizal, Sir Alex Musake. Sir Alex Musake was the top #1 of the Knights of Rizal in Europe. So I stayed a lot of weekends in his house talking about Rizal. He made me knight in 1994. Talking to him, going to his house, it's amazing. He also had a lot of books. And to that person, I could talk, although some things I didn't agree. Like, for instance, did Rizal retract or did Rizal not retract? We have been talking many hours about this. A second point we didn't agree was, for instance, was Rizal in Holland? Did Rizal go to Holland? Sir Musaki said yes. In my opinion, he did not go. At least there is no proof. And I told Sir Musaki, as long as I don't have seen a proof that Rizal was there, I cannot accept that Rizal was in Holland. Although in his letters to Bloementritt, in 2 or 3 letters, he mentioned to go to Holland to meet Dr. Kern in Leiden. I've been in Leiden. I've done research in Leiden, university, police station, archives. You cannot find anything about Rizal in Leiden. So was Rizal in Holland? I don't know, probably, but there's no proof. And that's what I told Sir Alex Musaki, who was a very good friend of me, who was my mentor. Unfortunately, he died some 10 years ago. I was very happy to have known Sir Alex Musaki.
Very nice. Now, I can't let the Rizal's so-called retraction go away without asking you. So what's I guess what's the deal with the retraction as far as you're concerned?
Well, I have, I think, some 10, 15 books about Rizal's retraction. One said he did retract. The other book said he did not retract.
Now, excuse me, sir.
For
For
me.
those who don't, excuse me, sir. For those who don't know that are watching it, retraction is he retracted all his writings about Catholicism. Is what retraction means. So,
Yes.
for those who do not know what that means,
Okay.
go ahead, sir.
So for me, he did not. How could Rizal retract all his writings at the end of his life? Which means everything he wrote, he gave it up. At the other hand, I'm just thinking how it could have been. You know, Josephine Bracken, his girlfriend. Maybe when Rizal was in prison, the last night when they said Rizal retracted and Rizal wanted to marry Josephine. He could not marry Josephine if he didn't retract. So it is said that Rizal married Josephine, which means he retracted. But there's no proof that Rizal retracted. The Rizal family, after his execution, the Rizal family asked to see the retraction. They have not been able to see the retraction. So they never saw the retraction. And what is very strange with the retraction, nobody had seen the retraction until, be careful, 1935. So almost 40 years after Rizal's death, all of a sudden, the retraction was found in Manila. How is this possible? Another thing, what people can quarrel about is, you know, that Rizal gives some books to his family. Imitation of Christ, for instance, he gave to his sister with the dedication. And he also gave the same book to Josephine with the dedication. And in that dedication, Rizal wrote, "To my dear and unhappy wife." What is the meaning to my dear and unhappy wife? Does it mean he married her? That's what you can think. But for me, Rizal considered Josephine Bracken his wife. And that's why he wrote, "To my dear and unhappy wife." You know, he lived in common wife with her for more than 1 year in Dapitan. They had a child together. So for me, Rizal did not retract. How can he give up for what he stood his whole life? But you and I cannot say what a person who knows that he will be shot tomorrow, what he will do or what he will think. But for me, no. I don't think that everybody can for sure say he did or he did not. And you know, those retractions, there are 3 copies, different copies of the retraction. And I know 3 different ones, yes. Or when you see the date 1990, or when you see the date 96, and then some words are not the same. And to my knowledge, there's one person who saw the retraction, which is in Manila. And I think the person who saw it was Ampeto Campo.
So, sir,
by the way, I forgot to tell you, one of the special persons who came to visit us was Sir Ambet. So he stayed.
How was that experience, sir?
Unbelievable. You know, we invited him here in Belgium for the celebration of the 125th anniversary of the printing of El Filibustrismo in Ghent. So I'm living 20 kilometers from Ghent. So we were able to invite Sir Ocampo to join us. But not only Sir Ocampo, we were able to invite the great-grandchild of Pastor Ulmer. You know, Rizal lived in Heidelberg with Pastor Ulmer. So I'm very good befriended with the great-grandchild of Pastor Ulmer, Dr. Fritz Hack. And he also came here. And then a third special person for me is Dr. Bionczek from Germany. He's an ardent Rizalist. He knows a lot about Rizal, but his point is Bloementritt. He knows everything about Bloementritt. So they stayed in our house. Every evening we had a barbecue here. We have been talking about Rizal, which is amazing that we could talk about Rizal, give our views about Rizal. And afterwards, when we finished our talk, we were drinking Rizal wine. When the new park opened in Wilhelmsveld, the new Rizal park opened, the German Knights were able to make Rizal wine. So I got a lot of Rizal wine. So we were drinking Rizal wine here, laughing.
I'm sure the wine helped make the conversation a little more interesting. So, sir, let's go back to the Knights of Rizal. What do you think, sir, is if you were in charge for, you had a magic wand, you're all powerful, everything you do is correct. If you had that power, how would you improve the Knights of Rizal as an organization?
Well, if I have the chance I have been able to talk to several Supreme Commanders in the past. I think I would say to the Supreme Commander, the Knights of Rizal is a very good organization. The purpose of the Knights of Rizal and the objectives of the Knights of Rizal, like they are described in the manual, they are really exemplary. And what does it say? Study the teachings of Rizal, perfect union about the Filipinos, but now it's international, I would say, also not Filipino Knights, and perfect union among the members. I would ask and tell the Supreme Commander, try to remember the Knights of Rizal, the objectives of the Knights of Rizal. Read the purpose, read the objectives in the manual, and stick to it, and not other things.
So, sir, at this point, I'd like to invite you to say your last words to the Knights of Rizal universe, parting words that you would like to address to them.
As a Knight of Rizal, you have a task. The task is study about Rizal, be friends among each other, talk about Rizal and stick what is written in the manual about the Knights of Rizal. Don't think too much about medals. Don't think too much about promotions, but go to the aim of the Knights of Rizal, meaning study the Knight of Rizal. Think about his teachings.
Well, thank you so much, sir, and non omnis moria.
Non omnis moria.
Do you mind saying it in Belgian, sir?
Niet alles in mij zal sterven.
Niet alles in mij zal sterven.
Niet alles in mij zal sterven. Not everything in me will die.